We had a giant tree in front of our yard that ended up getting into the foundation, and so we had no choice but to remove it. And when we removed it, we ended up with nothing but a lot of dirt. We needed to really transform our yard, and so we began to think about what we wanted to do, what kind of living space we could create, and really extend our house. When my partner Kara and I started designing, we had 4 separate patios that needed to be connected together using the boardwalk. That meant that we had to dig up the dirt in between all of these patios to be able to put in a foundation that would support those top boards. It was by just getting on the internet and taking a look and starting to look at different ideas about how to create foundations where I stumbled across the Tuffblock. It solved all my problems. It was exactly what I needed. It makes it so easy to be able to do what used to be a real pain, moving concrete piers around to try and get things just right. You can slide a Tuffblock into position, and particularly with the kind of flexibility we needed for our project, Tuffblock gave us the ability to put the foundation support where we needed it. And it wasn't a big problem. One of the first things we learned about building a boardwalk is that it's really important to keep the boards perpendicular to the direction of travel. And in a lot of ways, that ends up defining a lot of how you put the foundation together. What we also learned is that, of course, that any of the composite decking needs support about every 18 inches. And so what that means is that we've got to have joists that are kind of running in the direction of travel, and we'll put 3 of them together to start. That's the easiest way to get the frame started. We had to go down about 8 inches. From there, we actually then put in gopher wire. We've got a lot of gophers, and we can't let those critters get into the foundation and disturb it. We followed that with weed block, and after that, we laid down enough sand to get it to about 6 inches below the grade. From there, we could then bring in the tuff blocks and build a frame using pressure-treated lumber on top of it for the majority of the frame. On top of that, we put butyl tape, and on top of that, we were able to put composite decking for the top boards. We happen to use TimberTech, their Coastline, which is 100% PVC. It's not blended like so many others are, which was important for us again because of the proximity to the ground. Well, of course, we built a walkway, so it's got to be stable. And what we found is a great way to get the tuff blocks into position, just to use sand and to bring them over into where they need to be, to get them as close to the edge as possible to be able to support each one of the frame members. But what we then did was we put another layer of sand on top of it, maybe about 1 to 2 inches, to make sure to cover the flange. What that then did is gives us a really nice level place where we're able to be flush with every one of our patios. And at the same time, we've got all the strength we could need. We watered down that sand and it sets up like cement. It's incredible. And we've had a lot of rain in the last year since it's been installed, and you can see it's not moving anywhere. One of the greatest things about this project was the incredible flexibility that we had. It was great because we could essentially create a curve just about of any kind we wanted. We'd leave about 6 inches from one of the boards. We'd leave about 6 inches out after we put the board on. And then when we came back and cut it, what we'd first do is take a piece of bender board and use that bender board to create the template. We'd use shims in between the cracks of the individual boards to kind of hold it in place while we penciled the line. Once we got that line, we'd come back with a jigsaw using a carbide tip blade and just go right along the edge. It's really funny too, because it's really ugly until the last minute. All your boards are kind of staggered to follow the curve, but when you finish off that jigsaw, all of a sudden it just pops out and it's beautiful. We used a belt sander to finish off the edges and just clean things up, and that's all it took. One of the best parts of this project was building the 4 different patios that we have. Froy Ledesma did all the stonework here and did an incredible job. Each one of these patios has a 4-inch concrete slab underneath it with rebar holding it all together. And then on top of that, look at the beautiful work that he's done. We've ended up with this one that represents a jellyfish. We have another over here which represents a turtle. Over here on the main patio, we've tried to represent a couple of sand dollars stacked on top of each other. And in the distance, we made a nautilus. None of it could have been done without Froy and the amazing work that he was able to do in putting all the stone together. Each of the rocks as well that you see in the inlay actually came from the beach just a couple blocks away. All of it was collected and brought to the site. The key value with Tuff Block is you get all the stability and you get incredible flexibility. You can do things you could never think of doing with a concrete pier. It just can't be done. You can put the foundation and its support that's required where it needs to go. We ended up with 120 Tuff Blocks in our project overall. And again, if it hadn't have been for Tuff Blocks, this would have never happened.